Up to 9 million Americans are living outside of the United States. In 2025 alone, 180,000 of them left. I was one of them, or at least one of the 9 million. We left in 2023 after, actually 2024, after we took a trip to Spain and saw that things were a little bit different than what we were told all of these years. So what we want to do today is just take a look. I mean, millions more are expected to leave. So we're going to take a look at why that's happening with the video called Americans Are Leaving the Country in Record Numbers by Traveling with Kristen. Link will be in the description. Go ahead and check out her channel. I'm sure she would appreciate that. This is going to be a good one. Let's see if I agree with any of these reasons. Let's see if you agree. Before we get going here, go ahead and like the video. That does help a lot. Let's see what we can see.
For some people, the new American dream is not to live there.
Yeah.
According to some sources, upwards of 9 million U.S. citizens are currently living abroad, and that number is only going up. Where are they going? Everywhere, but especially Europe. I've been helping Americans move abroad for the last 20 years, and this is the first time that I've seen the top 5 countries all in Europe, starting with Spain, France, Portugal, Italy, and the Netherlands.
Spain, France, hold on, let's see our list again.
Starting with Spain, France, Portugal, Italy.
Spain, France, Portugal, Italy, and the Netherlands. That's interesting. I wonder does France have, I don't know. I wonder if France has like a digital nomad visa. I know Spain does. That's what I had. I know Portugal does. And the Netherlands, I think, has an agreement with the U.S. to make moving there a little bit easier, I think, if I'm saying that correctly. But I don't know. That's just an interesting list.
And the Netherlands. But there's one other major difference that I've seen in my clients between pre-2024 and now. Before 2024, most of the people who were living abroad were either adventurous backpackers, digital nomads, or affluent people, maybe some jet setters or multinational employees and executives. But since 2024, the type of people who want to move abroad is really everyone and anyone. Most people moving today describe themselves as ordinary people who just want a better life, or some who feel that it's their only option, but they aren't always welcome where they go. American tourists, expats, immigrants, and digital nomads have faced waves of protests in places.
American tourists, expats. Yeah, let me see. I want to hear this
Tourists,
again.
any option, but they aren't always welcome where they go. American tourists, expats, immigrants, and digital nomads have faced waves of protests in places like Spain, Portugal, Mexico, and Bali, especially.
I mean, I'm sure she's going to give her reasons why. I think that, you know, when I was, just to give you an example, when I was living in the United States, I lived in California. So I was born, raised, and also Vegas, but most California. And we moved from California to Texas. And you'd see bumper stickers and everything where people would say, "Don't California my Texas." That's how they would say it, because they didn't want you bringing over the ways that you lived in California over to Texas. And I think that's what happens sometimes around the world is, you know, you live in the United States. They don't want you to bring the United States over to Spain or all of these other places. So I think that's a part of it. I think another part of it is you get a lot of people who might sell a home that they bought for like $200,000, but they were able to sell it for $800,000 or $900,000 because the increase in home value and all of that. And they come over here, buy stuff cash, pay more in rent, you know, do all of these things and increase the prices for the locals. Maybe that's a part of it. You know, I mean, there's a bunch of things, but I just kind of wanted to say what I thought. But man, what U.S. travelers need to know amid anti-tourism protests in Europe. There's a bunch of anti-tourism protests in Spain. So I understand why.
Protests in places like Spain, Portugal, Mexico, and Bali, especially in the last year due to the sheer number of U.S. citizens abroad. Sources point to anywhere from 4 to 9 million Americans abroad, but there's no official data, so that means that many digital nomads, roaming retirees, and perpetual travelers and study abroad students are likely left out of the estimate. We do have some data on the number of U.S. citizens living in specific countries, however. For example, the number of US citizens living in Portugal has increased by 5x since the pandemic, while the number of Americans in Spain, the Netherlands, and the Czech Republic has doubled. More than 10,000 US citizens moved to Ireland in 20.
But I do think, I could be wrong because I don't know the exact facts here, but I do think that it was pretty easy, if there is such a thing, to get a digital nomad visa in Portugal. So like the qualifications were a lot less. So I know that's why a lot of people were going there. And I think in Portugal, it was one of the places that I know that you only had to be a resident for 5 years before you gained EU citizenship. So, you probably had tons of people going over there to take advantage of that. So I know here in Spain, it takes 10 years. And I think they just changed the law. Like May 18th or 19th, it became effective in Portugal that it was now 10 years unless you were you were from a country that had Portuguese as one of the recognized languages, then it would take 7 years. But the 5-year thing is over. So at least for now. Let's go back.
Has doubled. More than 10,000 US citizens moved to Ireland in 2025, double that of the previous year. Some people have been calling this the Donald Dash due to the numbers of Americans spiking after the 2024 elections. But as someone who's been helping Americans leave the country for more than 2 decades, I've seen this coming for years. The pressure to migrate away from the US has been bubbling for a long time, fed by the rise of remote work, inflation, living costs, and the overall desire for a better quality of life. The U.S. experienced a net migration loss of 150,000 people in 2025, and that number is expected to increase.
That's interesting. So it's not just the Donald Dash. I mean, we left before the Donald became president again, although I was firmly believed that he was going to, so we wanted to get out of there before that happened. But there are other reasons. Like, for example, if he was no longer president tomorrow, I'm not going back. So that's not the main thing. All right. Who is leaving the USA?
Now, a Gallup poll last year found that 40% of American women aged 15 to 44 would like to live abroad if they had the opportunity, but they're not alone. All different types of people, from students and professors to small business owners, engineers, retirees, corporate workers, and digital nomads. It seems like everybody would like to try life abroad. Parents, especially, who are concerned about the deteriorating state of the U.S. education system and especially the risk of school shootings, have also been fleeing abroad. Says one parent who lives in Germany, you don't face the prospect of your 5-year-old going into kindergarten and doing an active shooter drill here. The wages are higher in the U.S., but the quality of life is higher in Europe.
Right. I agree with that. U.S. government policies.
Now, U.S. government policies only seem to be encouraging this mass exodus, from domestic initiatives that seem to be increasing the cost of everything from groceries to healthcare to gas prices, to things like the Trump Gold Card, which only encourages millionaires and billionaires to live in the U.S. tax-free. There's also the long-term trend now of an ever...
Wait, did she say tax-free? I don't know anything. I mean, I've heard of this Gold Card. I think it's ridiculous, but I can't say that if I'd say I don't know anything about it. But the idea of it, I think, is ridiculous. But it sounds like she's saying they get to live for tax-free. Is that right?
Live in the U.S. tax-free.
What the hell? Hold on.
Encourages millionaires and billionaires.
A new immigration pathway that will allow foreigners to pay $1 million to expedite their visa application, or have companies pay $2 million to sponsor a foreign worker they want to bring to the U.S. The visa launched Wednesday afternoon and includes a link of the official application promising U.S. residency in record time. Now, it doesn't say anything there about tax-free, but that's interesting.
millionaires to live in the US tax-free. There's also the long-term trend now of an ever-increasing number of Americans renouncing their US citizenship. This number has jumped from only a couple hundred back in 2009 to 6,000 in 2020. In the last few years, it's definitely been around 5,000 or 6,000 people per year. Recently, the cost of renouncing your citizenship may be going down, so we might see even more people taking this route.
Oh man, Lisa and I have had conversations about this. I mean, it's a tough thing to decide to do. I mean, it's weird because we say all these things, you know, but you say all these things about how you feel about the U.S. and don't like it, and this and that and everything else. But it's just something about renouncing your citizenship that it's very final, obviously. And, you know, you spend this long on the earth. I don't know. But we both have said that we would. Can you believe that? I don't know. I think the more and more we are away from the U.S., the more comfortable we are with the idea. And then once we, you know, get everything finalized, our next visa, and get more acquainted with the language and everything, we absolutely would, which is just so crazy to say. I don't know why. Is it crazy? Maybe it's not crazy, and maybe that's just the American in me. I don't know. But it seems like, you know, you have a home, and when you come here, it's like you're kind of, you know, because your home includes more than just where you live. It's like the culture and all those things. So when you come here, you're like cultureless, as we say. So I don't know. I'd be curious to know what you thought. Would you, if you lived in the U.S., or maybe you do live in the U.S., would you renounce your citizenship? Ooh, that's an interesting question.
May be going down, so we might see even more people taking this route.
Snap. 450. Oh, I'm gonna have to look into that. Second citizenship.
Thousands of U.S. citizens have also been looking to get second passports through citizenship by descent from their ancestors who lived in other countries. And I'm actually one of them. But unfortunately, some countries have been restricting the ability to get citizenship by descent, such as Italy and Romania. This has directly impacted me. But on the other hand, countries such as Canada are making it easier for foreigners to claim Canadian citizenship. In the last year, 6,600 people applied for British citizenship, 40,000 applied for Irish citizenship, and 50,000 Mexican Americans reportedly returned to their home country. The big question here is, though, is the American dream actually dead forever, or is this just a temporary migration? Well, as someone who's helped people leave the U.S. for the past...
Well, I mean, what the hell is the American dream? I guess that's all relative. Because what the American dream used to be is definitely dead forever. Because what it used to be is to be able to, you know, get some career job that you had security, you had retirement, you had all these things, you stay there forever, you know, become wealthy. Well, that was one path if you decide to go a career route, and you get a house and a car, and, you know, that was the American dream, and, you know, all those things, and you barbecue on the weekends and everything. But, or you are an entrepreneur and you build your own business and you do all these things, and same thing, big house, big car, all these things. So I don't think that's ever coming back. Prices are too high. There's so much infiltration by corporations. It's like, it's just not, you're not getting that American dream back, at least not within my lifetime.
Past 2 decades, I can say that there's 3 main reasons why they do so. The first one is quality of life. So people are moving towards something for the most part rather than away from something. And this is something that's, I think, been consistent probably throughout human history. People are always looking to find a better life somewhere, whether that's within their country or across borders. The second reason is the political climate, and this has been a more prominent reason in the last couple of years. So the more instability that there is in the U.S. and the more that U.S. policies affect you in your day-to-day life, whether that's at the grocery store or the gas pump, or in your housing and utilities costs, or in the level of safety that you feel, or equality that you feel with your rights being respected within the country. These are all issues that are driving people to leave the country, and it's not unlike the reasons that people leave any country. But the third
Well, before she gets to the third one, I will say one thing that a lot of people don't pay attention to, because it doesn't necessarily impact them right now, is that, I mean, the president has reshaped the Supreme Court for a long time. So there's going to be some laws, there already have been laws that have been implemented that are going to be around for most of the citizens' lives that are in the U.S. right now, long after Trump is gone. So, you know, it's not changing. So there's some things that are not going to change. So let's see what the third one is.
third reason is really the cost of living, and especially the cost of healthcare in the United States. So I don't really see any of these things getting better in the near term. So I think in the short term, we're going to continue to see an increasing number of people leaving the US and also Canada for some reasons as well. And we'll see what happens long term.
Really? Hold on. She just threw that in there. Canada? Are they having a mass exodus too?
The number of Americans who would like to settle in another country has been steadily increasing since the 1970s. And I'm of the opinion that we may still be in the early adopter phase of this trend of people leaving the US for a better quality of life, more political stability, and a lower cost of living elsewhere. A researcher who spent years studying this trend says that it undercuts this American exceptionalism of we have the best quality of life, we're the best country in the world, and everyone wants to move here. Well, Americans move abroad and they find that they like life better abroad. Now,
and they find that all that stuff that she was reading there is not true. I mean, they're not, I mean, to say that your country is the best at everything is just like not almost dumb because there's flaws. Every country has flaws. It just depends on what your reality is and what's important to you. So, and the problems that are in the US, like, I don't want those problems. Like, if those problems existed here in Spain, I wouldn't be in Spain either. Like the quality of the food, the gun violence, the high healthcare costs, all of those things. Like, I wouldn't be here either.
There are pros and cons to living in any country. No country is perfect. And Europe, as a region and an economic bloc, certainly is facing its own share of problems. One of them being an aging population, dwindling in many places in small towns and villages, also brain drain. But interestingly, this US exodus to Europe could be helping them by bringing in much needed dollars and also a lot of expertise in various sectors. Most countries in Europe actually have a skilled worker visa or a job seeker permit to help encourage this type of migration. You'll also find that college professors, students, remote workers, tech workers, and people of all walks of life are headed overseas for these types of opportunities. Now, looking long term, a huge influx of Americans could have a direct impact on the culture, the costs, and the housing prices that many of us are trying to escape. For example, there's now more US citizens living in Norway than Norwegians in the US. At the same time, the dollar is weakening, down 12% against the euro at the moment, and this is definitely increasing concerns among my clients about the rising costs of living in places like Europe. But for now, it's still quite affordable. There are a lot of countries worldwide where you could still live on around $1,000 per month, and most of my clients are not rich by any means. There was a long time a perception that you had to have a lot of money to live abroad, but now it's quite the opposite, that you can save money by living abroad. And on average, most of my clients earn between $2,000 and $5,000 per month from their remote jobs or their pensions and Social Security. So you can.
I mean, we're definitely not rich. So we're not ones that have sold our house to move over here or had, you know, a couple $1 million in savings and we're coming over here and increasing the prices and nothing like that. I actually took a pay cut to move here, and, you know, but it's okay. I do it again. I do it 1,000 times, because that it's not about that. As long as I have some basics met, and as long as my wife and I can go get some coffee in the morning or something like that at a cafe, then hey, we're good.
Have a modest income and a modest lifestyle abroad and live a good life. The number of people who hope to immerse themselves in a foreign culture, however, are often surprised by the number of Americans living abroad, which really provides an opportunity to find places off the beaten path. There's apparently even a plaza in Madrid that locals refer to as Plaza USA because
Really?
of all the expats that hang out there. Now, when I first told my family that I wanted to move abroad many years ago and that I wanted to live in Europe permanently someday, they were pretty confused, especially my grandfather.
I should say this before she gets too far away from this, about the Plaza USA. I would never live there. I mean, I'm not trying to be in the USA. I mean, I don't know. We where we live right now. I mean, we live in Granada, so there's actually quite a few English speakers here. We moved here from Malaga, which, believe it or not, even though it's a bigger city, there were less English speakers there than here. But even where we live, we try and go where there's not a lot of English speakers. We don't like meet up on Saturdays with Americans and have coffee. Like, there's a lot of groups like that. I'm not saying that's bad. I mean, some people, they need that in order to, you know, kind of satisfy some of the things that you miss about the camaraderie and conveniences and everything. But for us, that's not what we do. We wouldn't necessarily live there.
Father in Europe permanently someday, they were pretty confused, especially my grandfather. His family moved from Eastern Europe to the US for a better life, and he was like, why would you want to go back there when we did so much to be able to come here? And all I could say is that things change a lot in 100 years, and sometimes things come full circle. I don't think I'm the only one who is looking to return to my roots of my ancestry over in Europe. Maybe you are as well. If you're interested in following my journey to moving back.
Well, my ancestors are in Africa. So I'm not going there. Lisa's ancestors are actually in like northern Spain, but I don't know, like maybe 3 or 4 generations ago. So not enough for us to get citizenship. We definitely looked into that. But I don't know. That was an interesting video. I think she kind of solidified a lot of the thoughts that I had. I wonder if it enlightened anyone out there. If you have any thoughts, did it open up anything for you to see anything different there? I thought that was a great video. Americans are leaving. I don't think it's going to change. I'm not going back. Even if I don't get a visa here, I've said this before, I'm going to the UK or the Netherlands or something like that. But I'm not going back to the US. All right. That was a good video. If you like it and you want to see more like it, then hey, subscribe to the channel. Super easy. My name is Greg. We'll catch you in the next video. Peace.